Thanks, Luna. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Okay, bye. Bye. What's up, pups? How you guys doing? I'm doing great, thanks for asking. I know what you're thinking. Okay, like, I get it. Every time that I've done a storytime video thus far, it has been a complete joke, troll, fallacy, not true. You probably are thinking that this is also a joke, but I can promise you this is not a joke. There is no movie plot. It is completely accurate, 100%. Just putting that out there. So in my Q&A video that I did a couple weeks ago, I let you guys know that I had this story and I didn't want to talk about it because I feel like it's so weird, and I kind of am still friends with this person and I don't know if they watch my videos, so... Okay, so this had to be when I was 22, 23. It was about 4 or 5 years ago, and I was... God, this is so hard. So I met this guy. I kind of had always known who he was. For the sake of the video, we are going to call him Brian. So I met Brian through some friends. We had mutual friends, and we met one night at a bar. At the time, my friend, one of my girlfriends, had a crush on Brian, but I guess he really wasn't interested in her, but I befriended Brian to help my friend talk to him. Like I said, lo and behold, we found out he was not interested in her that way. So she moved on and, you know, met someone else, and that was fine. Well, I kept talking to Brian, and eventually Brian let me know that he liked me. So I spoke with my friend and I said, hey, listen, I kind of like Brian, I kind of dig him. He's already told me that he's interested in me. Are you comfortable and okay with me dating him? I didn't want to, like, infringe on anything. Like, it's just, I don't know, like, I know sometimes girls are kind of weird about dating each other's crushes, even though they never really dated, but I didn't want to, like, overstep any boundaries. So she said it's completely fine, I completely support it, and I said great. So Brian and I started talking more, and eventually, I think within like a week or two actually, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and I said yes. Okay. I feel uncomfortable. So Brian and I were very different people. Brian did not have a job. Brian was not going to college or school. He had been in bands, like, I guess ever since high school and then out of high school. Bands were his, like, reliability. Like, he didn't have a job because he just played music. Yet, somehow Brian always seemed to have money. That probably should have been red flag number one. A good example, it was that I mentioned to Brian that I really wanted a microKORG. If you're not familiar with what it is, Korg sells microKORGs, which are miniature, like, keyboard synthesizers. So you would put, like, it has like something attached to the keyboard where you put it in your mouth and it synths your voice and makes you sound like a robot. I mentioned offhandedly that I really wanted one. Mind you, microKORGs are like $500. He bought me one out of nowhere. There was another time when I mentioned I wanted a lomography camera. He bought me that. Those were like $200. I don't know where the money came from because he didn't have a job. I still don't know to this day, and I don't like making assumptions, but the word drugs comes into my head. I never got a confirmation or denial, but I'm pretty sure that Brian was involved in some sort of the selling of drugs. And like I said, I sort of felt weird about it. Like, when he purchased these things for me, I was confused because I was like, well, wait, how did he get the money? And my parents were aware that he didn't have a job and they didn't know where the money came from. My father always had a bad feeling about Brian, so that was another thing, and we'll get to that. So anyway, I would say about a month and a half into us dating, I was taking a trip to visit my grandparents in another state. And at the time, it was like a routine for me. Every summer, I would take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month off of school and work and go visit my grandparents. I don't exactly remember how long I was gone for that instance. It could have been 2 weeks, it could have been a month, I'm not sure. Either way, I remember I was at the movies and I was seeing one of the underworlds. I'm not sure which one. Oh God. Okay, so I get a text message during the movie from a girl whom I'm not like super good friends with, and I've never been super good friends with her, but we always were like acquaintances. I get a text message from her and she says, "Hey, did you know that Brian was in gay porn?" I didn't know that. I wasn't aware. Okay, so I didn't respond immediately to her. My first initial response was to, first of all, show my brother, because I was at the movies with my brother, and I remember showing him the text message and saying, "What do I say to this?" Because I didn't know if it was a joke or not, so I texted Brian, still in the movie theater, and we were in the back, so I wasn't being rude. I wasn't like shining the light button. We were in the back of the theater. So I texted Brian and I said, "Hey, funny story. I just got a text message from this girl, and she's saying you were in gay porn. Is that true?" So he responds almost immediately and says, "Oh my God, that's not true. Let me backtrack for a moment. When we first started dating, this should have been another red flag. He told me when this whole relationship first started, people are going to tell you things about me. Please don't believe them." Why would you need to say that? Like, why do you need to say that in the beginning of a relationship? Like, hey, listen up. You might hear some things about me. It's not true. I feel like that's like a really weird way to start a relationship. So back to what he said. He texted me back and said, "Oh my God, that's not true. I told you people were gonna say things about me. That is absolutely not true. Ignore it." I said, okay, being the believer that I am, because he had conditioned me to already know that this would be coming, I suppose. I responded back to the girl and said, "No, he was not. He warned me that people would make up things about him. How dare you say something like that without proof? That's so wrong." Basically sending her like a whole spiel of how she's so rude for even saying anything like that and like whatever. So she responds back to me and says, "Kayleigh, I'm not lying. Here's proof." And those images will be burned on my brain forever. So she sends me a couple images of Brian participating in gay porn. He was not the pitcher. He was the catcher. Very detailed photography. Then the next text message that I get from her is a link to the video. Great. So at this point, I have walked out of the movie and I'm standing in the theater lobby, I clicked the link. Don't know why I did it, but I saw a lot of stuff that I probably could have gone without ever seeing, because listen, I don't have anything against any type of porn. I'm cool with regular porn, with gay porn, whatever. Whatever. When you see your boyfriend in like a very compromisable position like that, like it was just like, listen, so if you're bisexual, that's totally cool, but like the images that I saw, it was in there, you guys. It was in there. I mean, like, okay, so, I don't know how to elaborate. I don't know how to tell this story. Okay, so, so at this point, I'm so outraged that I call him. And I say, "Hey, man, guess what this girl sent me? Pictures and a link." Still gonna deny it because I have pictures right here. So he gets really quiet on the phone and says, "Yeah, that's me. I did gay porn. We can talk about it if you want." And I'm like, yeah, I think we should probably talk about this, but let me finish my movie and then we'll talk about it. So I hung up, I went back to the movie, couldn't enjoy the rest of it because my mind was moving a million miles an hour. I ended up texting the girl though and saying, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Okay. I called him later that night and we talked a little bit about it. His explanation for doing gay porn, he said that he did it when he was in his early 20s and he was living in LA and he needed money, so his go-to for money was to do gay porn. The money was for drugs. It was not to pay rent. It was not to buy groceries. It was to buy drugs. I guess when you really need drugs, you'll do anything. I mean, I wouldn't know because I don't do drugs, so awesome. So I am just confused and upset and mostly confused and also really angry because I was lied to. And I explained to him, I'm like, listen, if you would have just been honest with me from the get-go, I understand that people have things in their past that are like either not so cool or maybe they're a little bit ashamed of, but I was like, how did you expect me to not find something out like this when it's on the internet and someone could easily send it to me, and what the heck? He kept apologizing over and over, and I kept saying to him, I'm like, I'm mad because you lied. Like, he blatantly lied in the text when I said, hey, did you do this? And he said, no, I told you people were gonna make up things. I didn't do it. And then I had proof. It was him. The tattoos matched in the picture. They matched. Why lie? Like, the thing is, I found out, okay? So, like, don't make it worse by lying, and that's why I got really angry. So I told him, listen, I'm coming home in a week. I think that we should just kind of take a little bit of a break, and when I get back, we will meet and talk in person. So we didn't necessarily break up, but it was kind of just like, let me have my space to think, you take your space to think, whatever. So when I got back, we spoke and I said, listen, I can see you're very apologetic for having lied to me. I'm mad, but we don't need to break up. It's fine. Let's just try to move forward in our relationship. So our relationship lasted for, I would say, at least another month or so. We started fighting a lot in that last month because I was finding out more things from his past that he had not told me and lied about. And those little things are, I don't even remember what they were, to be honest with you, because it would just be like, well, did you know this? And then I'd ask him and it would just be one more thing that he lied about. Also the fact that my dad didn't realize he was over the house one day and he started like ranting about how much he hated him. And then Brian walks out of my bedroom and just looks at my dad, and my dad was like, well, guess the cat's out of the bag. I don't like you. I was like, oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. Aside from that, like, it all started kind of making sense when I found out that he was in gay porn for drug money and he still didn't have a job and he was able to afford things, and we would go out to dinner and he would buy like gifts, and I started putting things together. And when I questioned him about the drugs, he denied it, and I knew he was not being truthful with me because I had other people around me that confirmed, even though they didn't really have proof, they confirmed it, saying, well, yeah, he's been selling drugs, blah, 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 whatever. So eventually I told him, this relationship is just not working because you've lied way too much. We need to break up. So we broke up. He was really upset by it, especially because he had been talking to me. At this point, we'd only been dating like 3 or 4 months, and he had been wanting me to like move in with him and stuff. So he was really distraught when I ended our relationship because I guess he really liked me. But he definitely learned a lesson. You can't lie to people. Like, if you have demons from your past that are very blatantly on the internet, you should probably be honest about them. So yeah, we broke up, and about 2 weeks after that, he moved back to California to join a band. He ended up creating a band that got very big, and they toured all over the world. And that was weird for me because at the time, I thought it was really cool that I was like, man, I dated that guy and now he's in like this really big band. But at the same time, like, I didn't really want to tell people that I had dated him because I didn't want them to associate me with his past. Not that just because of the circumstances of what he did, and also the fact that he was involved in some sort of drug use or selling. People always kind of like associated him with that type of thing, so I didn't want people to think I was that type of person. So I didn't really tell people that I dated him. Like, if the band was on the radio or they came up in like a music news or something, I was just kind of like, oh yeah, great. Like, I just kept my mouth shut. And also in the back of my mind, I always knew, I'm like, this is gonna surface. Like, his past is gonna come back to bite him in the ass. People are gonna find out, especially now that he was in the limelight like that. Like, I was like, people are gonna find out. Like, and the thing is, in the band, he had changed his name. So, like, he still had his first name, Brian, but he changed his last name, so it was like a facade, kind of like how my name on here is Kayleigh Kill. He had a facade name, and yeah, I always knew, though, I was like, it's gonna come out, like, people are gonna find out, and they did. It became a huge thing. Every, like, major alternative news outlet released information, like, released articles about him being in gay porn, and, like, it was so bad, and it got so bad that he actually left the band because of it, and he, like, publicly responded in, like, the worst way, and, like, tweeted, I was in gay porn, so what? Like, everyone does things in their past. I'm like, I don't think everyone does that. Oh god, it was weird. So, I think the band doesn't exist anymore, or if they do, it's under a different name, but he's not even involved. In fact, he moved back here to Florida, and as far as it goes now, his life is well put together. He has, like, a job and a wife and a kid and blah 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 blah, whatever. So yeah, that was, like, it was weird. I still feel so weird about it, especially because if you know anything about me and my track record with dating, I have always dated guys who have some sort of really odd past, and it never surfaces until we're already dating, and I'm like, well, that's great. So this was probably just the most craziest thing when it comes to me dating someone. For those of you wondering, yes, the porn is still out there and the images are still floating around the internet. So all of that being said, he was a very nice person. He treated me very well. We still communicate every once in a while to this day. I really hope he doesn't see this, but yeah, that was weird. So yeah, that was that. That was a thing that happened. Have any of you guys ever had, like, weird people that you've dated that I mean, I feel like no one else out there could top, like, the weirdness of this story. If you've ever dated someone and it's been like, you found out something super strange, like, into your relationship, leave it in a comment down below if you don't mind sharing. I'm very curious to know if anyone else has ever experienced anything remotely like this. My stomach is in knots right now because I feel so weird talking about this. And also, for any of you out there wondering what our sex life was like after I found that out, it was basically non-existent because I just couldn't not remove the image. It was weird. Like, I could not. It wasn't like a normal porn, you guys. It was, like, really intense. That's all. I'll leave it at that. It was very intense. Alright, if this is the first video that you're seeing of mine, hi, I'm Kayleigh. You should subscribe by hitting that red button right down below and we can become best friends forever. Links to my Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, and Instagram are also down below. I'll see you guys in a few days with another video. Peace out, trouts.